Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton Knave. Vrooom Vrooom. The tail end of the double trio, in a way, which started with Vroom, ends with Vrooom Vrooom. This is actually a 2-disc set, and I highly recommend this one. I think this is the one, actually, for the double trio, that's the one you should get. Obviously, really, you should just get the THRAK box and you get it all. But if you're not going to get the THRAK box, Vrooom Vrooom is great. It's 1-disc versions of 2 groups of shows. So obviously there's the one we've already done, the Broadway shows. It turns out there was 5 of those. So the 2-disc one we did before was highlights of that. So this is a 1-disc version of that, basically the songs from that show. The songs were at their best. But the other disc is Mexico City, which was actually 3 shows, and that's more the instrumental stuff. And man, the instrumental stuff in '96, or at least in Mexico City, are awesome, fantastic. So for this is where we're reviewing Mexico City. Unfortunately, you only get the complete Mexico City on the THRAK box. It was originally released as a download, and that wasn't complete either, and was a different selection of songs than the ones on here. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get the download at the time. I didn't have the money, or I don't know, maybe I didn't have the internet connection or something. I can't remember, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get it. And it turned out to be such a fantastic show. They also started playing other stuff by this point, and we don't get any of that, unfortunately. So there's a couple of extra songs which we'll hear about when we do the final show next week. But in the meantime, we are talking about Mexico City. One of the shows we didn't talk about was the Japan '95 video, which was originally live in Japan '95 and became Deja Vu, which was a weird DVD, 2-sided DVD thing where they were experimenting with what DVDs can do, and it was really good. There was the camera angles for each band member. When you went onto that camera angle, the mix changed to that individual, which is fantastic. Must have taken a lot of work to produce that, but I mean that would be an amazing. Releasing something like that would be just fantastic. But a lot to ask for, but more reasonable on a Blu-ray. The other thing was the Schizoid Men thing, where you could actually choose different members of the band, different rhythm section, different singer, different lead player from the different lineups to construct a Schizoid Men. So that was good. But missing from those, of course, because it was made for '95, was the '96 version of 21st Century Schizoid Men, which is on here, amazingly. Yeah, so here we have the double trio in its all its glory on these two discs. The question is, there is a question about Bill Bruford though. I don't think Bill Bruford was at his best in the double trio. Maybe that's controversial. Remember, he wasn't chosen originally. I think it was during, what's his name, Marotta, who was originally with Peter Gabriel and Pat Mastelotto originally, and then there was an outcry, and then they got Bill back in. But there's an argument that he was broken because of union and Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe. And of course, had to go back to jazz after this, where he was not broken and made some fantastic music. But yeah, I've always said, '96 has the best instrumental stuff. The vocals are so strong in '95 that the vocals are better in '95, but the instrumental is better in '96. I've realised there's only 2 shows from '96 we've got on CD at all, I think. I don't think there's anything else on the THRAK box. And so we've got Mexico City, which is amazing, and we've got the final show, which is actually, they're a bit tired on that show, actually. So when I've said that, really, I mean Mexico City. That's the show you need. So yeah, if you're not getting the THRAK box, this is the one from the '90s. That's the one, unless you're going to go for projects. So track 1 is Vrooom Vrooom. So they were opening with Vrooom Vrooom by that point. That's the definitive version of Vrooom Vrooom. Really intense, played really well, played fast. It's great. And then the definitive Crim Dirge, the Coda Marine 475, which was the Lloyd's Insurance Syndicate thing. The inevitability of failure, in that sense, in that they put all this money into this thing that was going to fail. Dinosaur, good version of Dinosaur, very good version of Dinosaur. Ba-boom, very drummery, kind of vanilla, actually. So maybe, I think it's the Chicago version, maybe the Chicago version is better, because there's more interesting different things going on. But this is the prototype Ba-boom. It's better than the album version, if you like. And then we have THRAK. They only play the 2 beats and then you go dun, 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 dun. They're not going anymore. It does take time to get going. It's a really scary one. There's nothing as crazy in there as on THRAK Attack, but it's a really good THRAK. Lots of messed up piano stuff. There's a riff. Is that Fracture? Or Fractured? and you realise it's Belew playing it. I'm not sure. There's something that's very, very crimsony riff. Maybe it's a bit of Larks 4. But I think that's a great THRAK. Maybe that's the definitive THRAK because it's the perfect balance of scary and funny. And the random bits work really well. And they have proper bit of silence. And then THRAK. So it's, it is wonderful. They do reprise THRAK here. So don't go straight into Neurotica. But they did still play Neurotica, so it's okay. But yeah, that bit of silence at the end of THRAK. Power of silence. And all about juxtaposition. More on that later. Then we have the talking drum, which there isn't that many talking drums actually, and I do like Belew's take on the synth violin, although it's never be as good as it was in the 70s. And obviously you've got soundscapes instead of Mellotron as well. And then we have Larks, Tongues and Aspic Part 2. This, well, at time of recording, this is the definitive version of Larks, Tongues and Aspic Part 2 for me. That's the best version. Maybe that's controversial. I think the combination of the sound and the surround sound of the double trio just do the song perfectly. Now, this may have been surpassed by the time you hear this, because of course it wasn't on Toronto 2015, but we're going to have Radical Action soon, which the time of recording is not yet, and maybe that will be better. I'm not ruling out. I think Larks Part 1 on that Toronto disc is the best version of Larks Part 1. Controversial. And then if that's not enough, we have Neurotica, and this is the version of Neurotica you need. Forget the album version, forget any of the live performance. That is the killer version of Neurotica. Then we've got Prism, the drum duet. Nice and tight here, they're a bit tighter. Well, they're a lot tighter, I think, in Mexico City. Track 10 is Red. That's the best 90s Red, I think. Absent Lover is better because Bill's more active. But other than that, that's a killer version of Red. Track 11 is an improvisation. The Biker Babes of the Rio Grande. Where they got that title from, who knows? But some cool, quiet thracking into 21st Century Schizoid Man. And it's a great version, it's chaotic, it's intense. You could argue maybe it doesn't suit Adrian Belew's vocals, but he's brilliant here. So, that's a great disc. And you get On Broadway on there as well. I'm not talking about that because we've already reviewed that previously. See you next week for the final show of the Double Trio in Philadelphia.